Welcome to the deep dive. Now, the sources you sent us for today are, well, they're really remarkable. We're looking at excerpts from the Brahma Purana.
Right, focusing entirely on the genesis of existence.
Exactly. We're calling this deep dive the genesis of balance and dharma. And our mission really is to take this ancient text and see what it tells us about creation, duty, and, I guess, the invisible order of things.
It's a fantastic set of documents because it completely upends the usual narratives we have about creation, especially in the West.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of a beginning and you expect, what, chaos, a big bang.
So massive, explosive energy, a struggle.
Right. But the opening scene here is the exact opposite. The source describes the state before creation as a vast, silent stillness.
It's so powerful. It says there was no sound, no form, no sky above, no earth below.
And this is crucial. No sense of time moving forward, just limitless, calm, and unknowable.
And that right there, that's the first big idea you really have to grasp. The whole argument is that creation didn't start with chaos that needed to be controlled.
It started with balance.
It started with balance. Before a single thing existed, there was this subtle order. The text calls it an invisible rhythm that held the potential for everything.
So the structure came first. The order wasn't something that was imposed later to clean up a mess.
Exactly. It was the precondition for existence itself. And from that rhythm, from that stillness, awareness emerged.
And from that awareness came Brahma, the force of creation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this role because it's so different from a typical divine ruler.
It really is. I mean, it's the defining feature of this text. If you come into this expecting some kind of conqueror figure, you're going to miss the entire philosophical point.
Because the text is clear. Brahma didn't emerge as a king or a ruler.
Not in any traditional sense.
He arose as a witness. And that distinction feels so important, doesn't it? A witness implies observation, understanding, not power.
That's it. A witness who is keenly aware of the massive responsibility that comes with all that potential. The text insists his motivation was pure duty.
Duty, not ego, not desire, not ambition.
None of that. It was the obligation to manifest the order that was already there, in essence. His job was just to, quote, bring form to what already existed, in essence.
You know, that's where this deep dive really starts to hit home for me. Because if you think about it in human terms, that small shift changes everything.
How so?
Well, a creator, an artist, an engineer, anyone who works from a sense of duty creates systems that are meant to last, to serve everyone. But someone working from desire often creates something fragile that only serves themselves.
That is the perfect modern analogy. This is basically a blueprint for building sustainable systems. The moment the intention is duty and clarity, the result is framed by responsibility. It's an act of service, not sovereignty.
So this raises a question, though. If the creator is just a witness, how do you go from passively observing to actively, kicking off the cosmos?
That's the next step. Awareness translates into intentional structure. Brahma saw the stillness and understood the paradox.
The paradox being?
That you need movement, but too much movement is chaos. The
Yeah.
system burns out. But too much silence, too much stillness, and it's just unrealized potential. Stagnation.
So creation needed to find that razor's edge, the balance point to move forward sustainably. The goal wasn't speed, it was harmony.
A careful, measured unfolding. And that defines the whole second part of these sources, the structure of balance and patience. The process was patient, deliberate.
Not just a sudden flash.
No. The text outlines these stages. From subtle elements came the building blocks of matter. From matter, form arose. And only from stable form could life emerge.
That sounds like an incredible engineering project, one that requires just immense restraint.
And that restraint is really formalized in this fascinating detail about time. Time wasn't just switched on, it was introduced gradually.
Woven into the structure.
Yes, almost like easing onto the accelerator of a huge complex machine instead of just flooring it from the start.
Why, though? Why the slow rollout?
Because the things time enables, change, decay, entropy, are incredibly volatile. If you introduce time at full speed instantly, the delicate structures that had just formed would have just collapsed.
They wouldn't have had a chance to stabilize.
Not at all. So gradual time was introduced to allow for change without creating disorder.
That detail feels like the technical genius of this text. It shows sustainability was baked into the code from the very beginning.
And because of that patience, the system becomes autonomous. It can sustain itself.
So the cycles we see, day and night, growth and rest.
They aren't rules handed down from on high. They're internal, self-regulating mechanisms built into the fabric of existence. They make sure the whole system has moments for action and moments for necessary rest.
Which brings the lesson right to you, the listener. If you want anything you create, your work, your relationships to last, it has to have those cycles. Real creation needs patience and balance, not just a chaotic burst of effort.
A responsible creator builds systems. They don't just launch events. That's really the core of this section.
Okay, so once the physical world is stable, we have matter, measured time, these inherent cycles. The focus shifts. It moves to something much riskier.
The creation of life, and specifically intelligent life.
Right, and the sources are very clear that just creating the world wasn't enough. It needed guidance.
This is the pivot from cosmology to ethics, and it's probably the most critical part of the whole text. Brahma understood the danger in granting intelligence and especially freedom.
There's a warning, isn't there?
A very sober one. It says that without order, intelligence can become arrogance, and without responsibility, freedom can become destruction.
Which, I mean, we see that play out all the time in our world. Unchecked power leading to terrible outcomes. So a new principle was needed.
And that principle is Dharma. This is the core nugget to take away. But the source is very careful about how it defines Dharma. It's not a set of rules imposed from above.
Because that would cancel out the freedom that was just granted.
Exactly. It's not a dogma.
So if it's not a rule, what is it?
It's a natural principle, an inherent law, like gravity, that allows all life forms to coexist, even with their intelligence and freedom. Think of it as the operating system for life to function without constant micromanagement.
So it's the moral rhythm that governs action, just like the earlier rhythms governed matter and time.
Precisely. It ensures that crucial balance between pairs, like action and consequence, or freedom and restraint. It gives intelligent life the tools to govern itself from the inside out.
And this leads to Brahma's final act, which is
Right.
what? Establishing the system and then stepping back.
Yes. His role was never meant to be endless interference. Once the foundations were laid, the stable matter, the measured time, the self-regulating principle of Dharma creation was released.
Allowed to flow according to its own nature. It became autonomous.
Founded entirely on duty, clarity, and balance.
That is just an incredibly powerful synthesis. So let's pull back and summarize the two big takeaways from this deep dive so you can really apply this.
The first is cosmological. It's structural. Creation is rooted in balance. It starts with stillness and requires patience. It has to have cycles of rest and activity to be sustainable.
So if what you're building doesn't have a way to rest, it's eventually going to break.
It will. And the second takeaway is ethical. It's functional. Creation is governed by duty, by Dharma. It's about building systems that promote coexistence through responsibility, not just structures based on a fleeting impulse of power or ego.
And the text adds one last crucial reminder for you. Creation isn't a one-time thing that happened long ago.
No, it's a continuous process. It's happening right now. Every moment, something new is being formed. Ideas, actions, relationships, consequences.
Which means every choice you make is a moment of creation. It brings this ancient text right into your day. Just as Brahma approached it all with awareness and responsibility, you are a creator in your own life.
Every choice, big or small, shapes the world around you. It either reinforces that order, that Dharma, or it introduces disorder.
And that all circles back to the core moral from the very beginning.
That creation begins not with power, but with clarity. Clarity of intention and clarity about your responsibility.
That clarity, that choice of duty over desire, is what defines the quality and the endurance of everything we build.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to take away from this. If the very foundation of the universe relies on this system that balances freedom with restraint, which is Dharma, then how does consciously choosing duty over desire fundamentally change the nature of the things you're creating every single day?
Whether that's in your job, your personal habits, or in your community.
Exactly. How does that choice alter the things you're bringing into existence?
So think about that. Think about the structure and the cycles you're building into your own life. Look at the rhythms of growth and rest, of day and night. The Purana shows us they aren't just inconveniences. They're echoes of the ancient foundation of existence itself. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the genesis of balance and Dharma.